So I thought I'd tell you a story about a rainforest, a green pit viper, and what it taught me about the magic of saying yes. I was in Sri Lanka recently. For those of you who don't know, Sri Lanka is a small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, south of India. And inside of Sri Lanka, it's got this amazing preserved rainforest that has an unbelievable number of birds of all shapes and colors, and they're so exotic. I love birds, so I went to Sintaraja with a couple of young colleagues, friends, to watch birds. And we were happily walking along, watching birds and looking at butterflies when we come across this snake. And I will admit, I'm afraid of snakes. I'm working on this, but I am afraid of snakes. But this snake looked like a tree branch. It was perfectly still, it wasn't threatening, and it was pretty interesting. So we were all admiring this snake, which caused our local guide, who was a wonderful professional and really wanting to please, to say, "Do you want to see the nesting green pit vipers?" Which took the breath out of my lungs, to be honest, and I paused. During that pause, my young colleagues jump in and say, "Sure." And then everyone looks at me expectantly. And when I got my breath back, now the other thing you need to know about me is what's bigger than my fear of snakes is my ego and my pride. So when I got my breath back, not to be outdone by these young friends, I said, "Absolutely, let's go." So we turned off the trail and started hiking up the mountain to go see the green pit vipers. At which point, the voices in my head start. You know which ones? Those voices that after you make a decision that could result in something cool or interesting, start questioning your decision. So I was like, "Michelle, what are you doing? Your pride got in the way again. You're afraid of snakes. You can't do this. You don't want to do this. You're here to see birds. What are you thinking?" And I kept up with this. Also, I was thinking about this Barbara Kingsolver novel that I read years ago, which had a snake that flew through the air and bit a young girl in the face and killed her. And by this time, I had convinced myself that the snake in her book had to have been a green pit viper, the very one we were going to go see. So by the time we got to the top of the hill, my anxiety is mounting. I'm sure I'm going to look and see a snake that's going to fly through the air and potentially bite me in the face. So we get to the top of the mountain and the guide is so excited and he turns and he says, "Here are the snakes. Here are the green pit vipers." And I had to take a deep breath and muster my courage just to turn and look. But when I did, I am not kidding you, I saw the most beautiful creature I've ever seen on God's green earth. And it was a color of green I can't even describe to you. It was so brilliant and so amazing. It was one of those moments. Have you had one of those moments where you think, how did God or the creator or the universe put something here that is so beautiful? And it was really actually a spiritual moment for me. And I realized if I hadn't said yes at that moment, if I had given in to my fears and anxieties or listened to that voice in my head, I wouldn't have had that moment. I wouldn't have seen that beautiful thing. I wouldn't have had that experience. So I would encourage you, the next time you have an opportunity to say yes, you might just find something magical at the end of that. And remember, your adventure is out there. Let's go find it.